Hey everyone, and a huge welcome to all you 6th grade learners out there. Today, we're going on an incredible journey through nature. We're diving into the living world, looking at diversity and adaptation. Seriously, we're going to explore the absolute magic of the plants and animals right outside your window. And I promise you, by the time we wrap up, you're going to look at your own backyard in a completely new way. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to start by putting on your scientist hats for a second and thinking about a really important question. How exactly do plants and animals help each other? You know, it's really easy to think they just, happen to live in the same forest. But actually, it's not just a one-way street out there in the wild. They're a team, a real partnership.
And this brings us to a beautiful concept called interdependence in nature. Think of a forest like a giant, super busy city where everyone has a specific job to do. Every single living thing plays a unique role, right? So plants are kind of like the ultimate builders and chefs. They provide crucial food and safe, leafy shelter for the animals. But the animals, they pay them back for all that hard work. When animals eat those delicious fruits, they wander around the forest and literally leave the seeds behind in brand new places. We call this seed dispersal, and it's exactly how plants spread across the world. They absolutely need each other to survive and thrive.
But hey, it's not just plants and animals helping each other. Humans play a massive part in this team too. Which brings us to something really special called sacred groves. These are small forest areas specially protected by local communities just to conserve biodiversity. Just imagine a patch of forest that is so respected, so deeply loved by the local people, that it's fiercely kept safe from any harm. No cutting trees, no destroying habitats, nothing like that. It's just a wonderful, real-life example of how we can be the protectors of nature's delicate balance.
All right, let's shift gears and turn our attention entirely to the plant world for a minute. Think about the plants you see on your way to school, maybe in your local park, or even just sitting in a pot on your balcony. Are all plants the same size and shape? I mean, obviously not, right? Some are absolutely tiny, and some are just towering giants. Because there are just so many types out there, scientists have to sort or classify these plants. And they do this by looking at two main things: how thick their stems are and how tall they grow. So we've got trees, like the giant mango. We have shrubs, like a beautiful rose bush, and herbs, like a little tomato plant. But what if a plant's stem is just too weak to stand up on its own? Well, it adapts. It either becomes a climber that needs a little help, like a support stick or a wall, or it becomes a creeper that just spreads its leaves right across the ground.
Let's actually compare two of the most common ones to see how this builds. Picture a big, sturdy mango tree. Trees have these hard, really thick brown stems, which we call trunks, of course, and all their branches start way up high at the top. Now contrast that with a shrub, something like a rose bush. Shrubs still have woody brown stems, but they're way thinner than a tree trunk. Plus, their branches start growing right down near the ground, which is what gives them that bushy look.
Okay, so what about herbs? Well, herbs are kind of the softies of the plant world. They have these thin, tender, and bright green stems. Think of a little tomato plant, or maybe the mint leaves growing in your kitchen. If you gently touch an herb stem, it is nothing like the hard wood of a tree or a shrub. It's totally soft, super flexible, and green. So we know all about stems and sizes now, but did you know that leaves, roots, and seeds actually share a secret connection? Yeah, it's true. It's almost like a hidden, magical code built right into nature. And the coolest part? Once you learn how to read it, you can predict exactly what a plant looks like completely underground just by looking at the leaves holding in your hand.
So, to crack this code, we first need to learn a pretty cool science vocabulary word, venation. Venation is simply the arrangement of veins in a leaf. Next time you see a hibiscus leaf, take a really close look at it. You'll see it has this messy, crisscross pattern. We call this reticulate or network venation. But if you look at a banana leaf, or even just a simple blade of grass, the lines run perfectly neat and straight, right side by side. That pattern is called parallel venation.
Okay, next step in understanding our code. We've got to look underground. First up is the taproot system. This is one main, super thick root that goes deep, deep down into the soil, with tiny little side branches coming off it, kind of like a carrot, or that hibiscus we just talked about. Now compare that to the fibrous root system. Imagine just pulling up a clump of grass from the dirt. You'll notice there's no main root. Instead, it's just a big, messy cluster of roots that are all the exact same size, growing right from the base of the stem.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how this incredible biological rule connects the whole plant together. Get this. If a seed naturally splits into two parts, which we call a dicot, like a chickpea, it will always grow a taproot, and it will always have those reticulate, network-patterned leaves. But if a seed is just one single solid part, a monocot, like a kernel of corn or a grain of rice, it will always grow fibrous roots, and its leaves will always have parallel veins. I mean, how cool is that? You can literally look at a leaf and know exactly what its roots and seeds look like without ever having to dig it up.
All right, let's say goodbye to our amazing plants for a quick second and hop over to the animal kingdom. Think about this. How do different animals move from place to place? Plants are securely rooted to the ground, sure, but animals, they have to travel to find their food, water, and shelter.
Well, nature has engineered some absolutely incredible, highly specific ways for animals to get around. Take fish, for instance. They have smooth, boat-shaped bodies and these flexible fins that let them just glide effortlessly through the water. Goats, they have strong, sturdy legs built perfectly to walk, run, and climb over really rocky, uneven land. And birds have lightweight bones and wings perfectly engineered to fly through the air. Basically, every creature's body is built perfectly for exactly where it lives.
And that brings us exactly to where they live. Our next big core word is habitat. A habitat is simply the natural place or home where a plant or animal lives. You can think of it as their natural home address in the wild. It's the place that provides absolutely everything they need to survive. To keep things nice and simple, scientists actually split these home addresses into two main categories. Habitats are either terrestrial, which just means land-based, so think of lush forests, vast grasslands, and sandy deserts. Or they're aquatic, which means water-based, like flowing rivers, tranquil lakes, and deep saltwater oceans.
But what happens when a habitat is really, really extreme? Say it's freezing cold with heavy snow, or boiling hot with basically no water. Well, that is exactly where adaptation comes in. Adaptations are the special features, or basically the biological superpowers, that living beings develop over a long time just to survive in their specific, sometimes super harsh, habitats. Let's look at a pretty mind-blowing example of this.
I want you to think about this question for a second. What is the difference between a hot desert camel and a cold desert camel? And yes, you heard me right. There are actually camels out there that live in freezing cold environments. No way, right? But it's totally true.
And this brilliantly illustrates adaptation in action. Just take the hot desert camel. It has these broad hooves so it doesn't sink into the soft sand, incredibly long legs to keep its main body up and away from that scorching hot ground, and one hump to store food for long, dry journeys. Now contrast this with the cold desert camel, which lives in mountainous places like Ladakh. It has much shorter, sturdier legs to navigate steep, rocky mountains, a crazy thick coat of long hair to act like a heavy winter jacket, and two humps for even more energy storage in the bitter cold. Their bodies are just perfectly, totally customized for their extreme environments.
And hey, remember, plants have these superpowers too. Mountain plants, like towering deodar trees, live in habitats where it snows heavily. So how do they survive? They adapt by growing into a sharp cone shape with downward sloping branches. Why? Because when that heavy winter snow falls, it just slides right off the tree. Kind of like rain sliding off a slanted roof. That way, their branches don't snap under all that immense weight.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that every single living thing, from a tiny leaf's veins to a huge camel's hump, is perfectly shaped and adapted for its unique home. Which leaves me with a final question for you to chew on. If you took a hairy, short-legged, two-humped cold desert camel and moved it right into the scorching, sandy hot desert, what do you think would happen to it? Think about that carefully. And hey, the next time you step outside, take a really close look at the incredible plants and animals around you. You never know what amazing superpowers they might be hiding,